Hey, hello my pokey people, and welcome one and all to the worst Pokemon of each generation, at least in my opinion. A lot of you guys were very much down for make fun of some of them, Rage, tell me the very worst of the mons, which, while, you know, I'm cool to do, you guys are evil, and I love it. So it was a difficult time deciding each one, because each gen has a few that I really dislike for various reasons, but obviously we're going to start with Kanto, and the one I've chosen for this, well, there was a few reasons that I chose it, and they were 10% colors, 20% metagame, 15% concentrated power of nostalgia, 5% type combos, 50% looks, and 100% reason to think that it's lame. Magma, he doesn't need his face up in light, he just wants to hide, whether in a cave or a Kano. He looks so unlike everyone else, alone, in spite of the fact that Electabuzz is his bro. I hate him, but fuck him. His lumpy duck face. Okay, I can't anymore. I couldn't resist. When I first started coming up with the reasons why I chose each one, I just happened to fall into the percent thing, which made me think of the song, and then at that point, I knew that I had to just throw together a quick, terrible white rapping parody, so there we go. But I think it's very clear my choice for Kanto is Magmar, because I just think it looks so dumb. I just hate it. It's supposed to be this special, unevolving Pokemon, the partner of Electabuzz, and I just think it looks terrible. It doesn't help that it's very weak as well, and Magmortar's a little bit better, but even then, it's got nothing on Electivire, and I just hate how it looks. It was one of the most disappointing looking Pokemon that was supposed to be cool I think I've ever seen, and I don't need any other reason to think that Magmar is my worst Kanto Pokemon. So on to Johto, and this one is interesting because there's not really much to choose from, because I think if I had to say something about Johto is that every Pokemon is mostly average. There's not any spectacular fails, but not any spectacular successes, apart from Caesar, of course. But I had to choose, and I've gone for Quail Fish. Now, it was close between Quail Fish and Skiploom, but since Skiploom is a middle evolution and I don't mind Jumpluff, I'd rather go for fully evolved Pokemon, and here we have Quail Fish. I feel like this was supposed to have an evolution that got lost. It's just a terrible Pokemon. I mean, look, it doesn't even have a proper amount of spikes. It's based on a pufferfish. Those things are covered in spikes, and they certainly don't have lips. There's a reason Quailfish looks so angry, and that's because the intern that they got to design the thing took the day off after drawing a sphere and putting some spikes on it, and then decided, job done, I'm gonna go party. I could draw a better Pokemon than Quailfish, and you guys have seen how my Pokemon drawings go. It feels half-baked, and I feel bad for you, Quailfish. I do. A pufferfish Pokemon could have been so much better, and you were just... You're so lame. I'm sorry, but you're so lame. Now, of course, throughout this video, I apologize to anyone who looks at one of my choices and go, but that's like one of my favorite Pokemon. Though I can't see how anyone would have that with Quailfish, but still, it's so underwhelming and just spectacularly meh. And the thing is, I don't want to deliberately choose Pokemon that everyone dislikes or that everybody thinks is bad, like Dunsparce, because a lot of people like Dunsparce just because he is so randomly there, doesn't evolve. What are they doing with Dunsparce? And he has his charm because of that. The same reason that I won't choose Vanillish later on, because everybody loves to hate Vanillish, so there's no fun picking Vanillish, so I'm trying to choose something at least a little bit different, and it is just my personal, I was disappointed by this Pokemon, and Quailfish, well, it does it for me in Gen 2. So, on to Gen 3 then. This one was certainly interesting, and there were two clear choices for me. It was either going to be Love Disc, which I think is a cheap shot. I mean, it's just a heart that swims, like, really? But I can see why some people could love it. I mean, it should evolve into a Lomanolap. I don't know why it doesn't, but that's fine. But no, I'm actually going to choose one that I think will probably be my most controversial choice, and I'm going for Altaria. I really, sorry Fluffles by the way, but I really don't like Altaria. I think it is the lamest dragon, second only to Drudigen. Nothing can take that away from that square mess. But Altaria, I don't know. I think its face is a little bit derpy. I think the fact that they've made its wings into clouds so it actually tries to flap with clouds, this bulky, bulbous wings, looks terrible. Like, if it was in 3D like it is in its sprite, where it's just floating in a cloud and you can't really tell what its body's actually like because it's surrounded by this cloudy stuff, that would be much cooler. But ever since they made it try and flap with clouds, I've just really disliked it. I really have. And I mean, I was never crazy on the design of the bit of the body you can see, but really it's there because I was disappointed. I normally love dragon Pokemon, and I really like the idea of a sort of mystical floaty cloud dragon, but I just think Altaria's implementation into 3D killed it for me so hard, and I just can't look at it the same. I really can't. I really dislike it, and it just rubs me the wrong way. It just does. I mean, Altaria will not stop just stroking my face with its cloud wing, and it gets irritating, you know. What could I say? So there we go, Altaria. I'm disappointed in it. That's why it's here. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Alright, so Gen 4 then. This one was interesting too, because obviously Gen 4 is my favorite Pokemon of all time, but there are certainly ones that I dislike, but we're not going to go for something like, for example, Lumineon, which is just, why does Lumineon exist? It's just a random fish that evolves from a different random fish. I mean, why is Finneon and Lumineon? It feels like it should have a third evolution. It's one crappy random fish that evolves into another slightly bigger crappy random fish. I just don't get those two Pokemon. So it was very close there, but I also didn't want to take the cheap shot and label Purugly, because Purugly, like Vanillish, I feel like is a Pokemon people like to hate, and therefore has its own kind of fan base in that weird way. And honestly, with Purugly, I could see how people chose Glameow and gone, that looks kind of cool. I wonder what it evolves into. Oh my god! What happened? Is a Purugly the result of when a Glameow eats another Glameow? Holy hell! I mean, you can see Purugly looking at a Glameow and going, get in my belly! It just weirds me out. So what I've gone for is actually Cherim as my worst Pokemon for Gen 4. For Gen 4. Sorry, my rapper self is on fire today. Am I right? Word to the street, my home nizzles. Cherim, okay, let me get this straight. Cherim like this, the purple bud hiding thing, one of my worst Pokemon. Cherim in Sun, when it blooms and is happy, one of my favorite Pokemon. So the reason it's here is because I hate that it is not permanently in its sun form. If it was permanently in its sun form, I would be so happy. And I get it's cool to have a Pokemon that blooms in the sun and changes appearance, and that's really nice, but its non-sun appearance is so blisteringly disappointing and awful, and its sun appearance is so good that it just makes me so sad I can't use it outside of a sun team. And I really like Cherim, the same way I like Lilligant and Delcatty. Occasionally, a happy, cutie type Pokemon does actually do it for me, and I like using them. And Cherim, I was so sad when I found out it doesn't get to stay like that, and I was so upset, and that's why it's my worst Pokemon in Gen 4. Not because I think it is just objectively the worst, battling, or looks, but because it just made me sad and disappointed that I can't have my happy pink flower all the time, you know? Sometimes a man needs his flower! Moving on to Gen 5, this one was interesting because, as you know, Gen 5 has got some spectacular trubbish in its lineup. Although, to be fair, I prefer Trubbish to something like Pile of Sludge that is Grimer, but we'll talk about Gen 1 nostalgia in another video, perhaps. But either way, there are some definite highs and lows. Stunfisk, anyone. But no, I'm not going to take a shot at this poor, flat, moronic fish that doesn't even get loved by its own mother. No, for Gen 5, I'm going to go with a Pokemon that I hate with a passion, because I just hate it. And that is Sigilyph. I'm assuming Sigilyph. It is Sigilyph, right? And the reason I hate this thing is, A, I think it looks stupid. Who designed this thing? They went, alright, I've got kind of spikes there, like lines over there. No, I know what it's based on, and I know that it makes sense based on what it's based on, but I still think as a Pokemon, it looks like somebody just threw shapes at a circle and just went with what stuck. And then the actual color scheme of it, it just clashes. The interior designer within me screams out in agony as I look at Sigilyph, and I just... Why? Blues and yellows and reds and greens and blacks, and what are you doing, colours? What are you doing? Either way, that's not even the reason I put it here, not even the reason I don't like it. This Pokemon fainted more of my team than any other Pokemon ever on every playthrough I have ever done of Black and White. I hate this thing. When I was a noob ass at Pokemon, whenever I used to face one of these, it used to destroy me, and I've got like trauma from Sigilyph. It has killed Nuzlocke for me. It has just wrecked my team, and I hate it. And I don't know why. It's not even that strong, but I guess the Pokemon that I like just get wrecked by a slightly tanky psychic flying, and there it is. So from trauma of just death that Sigilyph inspires in me, he is definitely my least favorite Gen 5 Pokemon. Alright, finally then, we have Gen 6. And Gen 6 actually has pretty much across the board fine Pokemon. There's not much that I want to label as terrible. Even something like the table that is Avalugg has its charm. But there is one in particular that I think is a waste of a Pokemon slot. And honestly, it's the only Pokemon in the entire generation that I think is a waste of its slot. And that is Slurpuff. Slurpuff, well, the only way I can describe it is as follows.
Everybody knows you never go full retard. You went full retard, man. Never go full retard.
Yeah. See, the thing is with Slurpuff is I got the version that had Spirit Sea as its exclusive, and I evolved it into Aromatisse, and I was like, oh, that's kind of lame. I was hoping for something much better than that. Alright, I guess maybe the other version's fairy is kind of better, so I saw Swirlix, and I was like, looks a bit derpy, but derpy Pokemon have turned into badasses before. Let's see what it evolves into. Oh god, my eyes! What is that? What is that? And not only does it look like an ice cream that has been dragged through a sewer, then a hedge backwards, and then licked by the entire population of Arkham Asylum. No, it's not that it looks like that. It's the fact that it also, apparently according to its Pokedex, likes to sniff everything in sight. Imagine that, walking up to you and going, no, Slurpuff, no. So that is by far and away my least favorite Gen 6 Pokemon. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this massacre. And there are definitely other ones I wanted to include, but they stuck out to me when I looked over all the Pokemon. Let me know what your least favorite are, and let me know what you'd like me to go over in my next listy type, ranty type, non-Sun and Moon Pokemon video. I need to categorize these better, don't I? But for now, like if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.